for tuning back in with me at LA Show. We have our buddy Sisco back on the scene with us, and we're discussing some things that we may have looked over, or you may have felt like we looked over, but we have dug deep into several situations and we haven't put out any information yet. So what we're going through is kind of like a chronological order up until Nipsey's death. Basically, the situations that led up to it. One of the situations was, of course, the hire video shoot, and Nipsey ended up having to order extra security to the set of the hire video shoot featuring him, DJ Khaled, and John Legend. How did you feel about that?
How did I feel about the extra security?
Yeah.
Well, it definitely ties into his Twitter post, because you don't need heightened security for Eric Holder. And I think that's also key that when, according to the witness one's grand jury testimony, that Nipsey didn't feel threatened by seeing Eric Holder. In fact, even though she has conflicting statements, but she did say that they seemed to have a non-aggressive conversation. So the fact that he had extra security and he made that Twitter post, to me, really alludes to the fact that he was assassinated and that he had some big enemies.
Okay. Now, another person that kind of made that point was Cowboy. He did say that the conversation between Nipsey and Eric Holder wasn't malicious in any type of way. He did make sure he said that several times. So,
right, exactly.
Like you said, it wasn't any immediate threat from Eric Holder that would have made Nipsey Hussle go on guard.
And also, I would like to say he wouldn't put on Twitter somebody as insignificant as Eric Holder. He wouldn't say big enemies like that. He wouldn't say that. He might have said something coded like, "Oh, I need to take care of some of this hood business," something simple like that. But big enemies, no, not
Okay.
for Eric Holder.
So we're tracing both Nipsey and Eric Holder's movements days before the murder on March 31st. And we ran into a speed bump in Eric Holder's days before Nipsey Hussle was murdered, or the day before. So allegedly there was a story spreading that Eric Holder got into an altercation before going to Slauson Avenue and murdering Nipsey Hussle.
Correct. And that is confirmed by a news article. And we're going to just use part of what witness one has said also to as the courts say, corroborate all of this. But before I do that, I just want to say who that individual is. Apparently, this is like Nipsey Hussle's neighbor. And
you mean Eric Holder?
Yeah, Eric Holder. Eric Holder's neighbor. His name is Blaise Carafello, BLAISE CARAFELLO, Carafello. And he's a band leader for Eternal Park Music Ministry. It's like a Christian ministry. They have videos on YouTube. You can find them on Facebook. So apparently, Eric Holder, prior to the shooting, allegedly the shooting, he pistol whips this guy. Now, what's interesting is after the shooting, this guy, Blaise Carafello, flees LA by bus to New Jersey, where if you do a background search on him, you'll see that the Carafello family is between Long Beach, New Jersey, and Connecticut, and he goes and to be with these two ladies, well, these two sisters, and they didn't know that he was a potential witness to the murder case. Now, listen, this is what they say and they're represented by a very prominent attorney whose name is Harley D. Bright, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. So they hired this big time attorney, and these two sisters didn't know all the details of where he just came from. Well, they hire an attorney. Why would two girls all the way in Jersey, this guy, he gets pistol whipped by by Eric Holder. After the assassination, he flees LA by bus and gets sheltered by these two girls, which when they find out what happened, they get this high-powered attorney and release a statement saying, hey, look, basically we didn't know what was going on, and basically trying to clear their name. Now, that's key because of their actions. Their actions would suggest that they didn't want to be labeled as harboring a fugitive or harboring someone who's wanted by the law. And so when we had all these YouTube rumors that there was a white guy on the scene, I'm not saying that this is him, but when me and LA go over the videos that we have available, we will point you to a specific car to pay attention to. And I'm not going to say that that's him, but based on you cannot take lightly the actions of these two sisters. That's heavy that they hired a big time attorney and made a public statement.
And give that reference to that article in case people are second guessing it.
Yeah, you guys can go to northjersey.com. It's from let me see when the article was written really quick. It's from May 21st, 2019, and it was updated at 8:07 p.m. on May 21st, 2019. It was first published, at 6:52 and updated at 8:07 p.m. on the same day. And it was written by Richard Cohen. That's Cowen. So that's a pretty heavy thing.
Okay.
Because at least these two sisters are taking the actions as if he is connected to a crime. And
correct.
We haven't heard any of that. We had, I think, a vague reference.
Very vague.
Potentially in the grand jury transcripts, but this guy doesn't even, in the grand jury testimony in all 3 volumes that were released to us. Now, are there more than 3 volumes? Who knows? But from what they released to the public, this guy is a ghost.
Mm-hmm. So, also, another situation that we knew a lot about and dug into, but we never put out there, was kind of what's going on now with Nipsey's business now that he has passed away, was the Crips LLC.
Oh, man.
Now we have volumes of evidence to prove that this company is kind of shady.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, I won't go all the way into it, but we dug around so deep that we ended up giving them a call.
Right.
That call kind of went something like this. She was very open and she was very transparent. But as we could tell from previous phone callers, because somebody else gave them a call and actually posted it to YouTube, it was pretty much scripted. She was saying the same thing over and over again.
Right.
That situation in itself is kind of similar if you want to compare it to what's going on now with Nipsey's business being pushed in the hands of David Gross. Or now we find out that the paperwork pretty much leads back to David Gross. Now with the Crips LLC, they actually filed for trademarking of the whole marathon clothing.
Absolutely.
Slogan, which was kind of sketchy to me, and this was just after Nipsey died. Weeks after
16
Nipsey
days,
died.
16 days to be exact. 16 days after the assassination, they filed for trademark.
I mean, all of this stuff seems very interesting when you combine it all together and take a look into them each. The situation that we started off with, which was the higher video set, security. Then
Right.
we go into this mystery man who is connected to the case in some way and was able to flee out of the state miles away. And
Right.
then we have this situation with the Crips LLC right after Nipsey passes away. These people come in and try to trademark his slogan.
We also have another person, since we're talking about people fleeing, we
Mm-hmm.
also have the guy on the scene known as Kid Flashy, who
Mm-hmm.
gets stopped with a gun and a DVD drive or a
Now I
DVD
looked into
DVD
that.
player.
I looked into that a little bit more, and I pulled up an article that pretty much showed the gun, showed what took place at that airport, and then it pretty much doesn't go anywhere from there. This is
Right.
from krmg.com. A New York man was arrested after authorities said they found a gun concealed in a DVD player that the man was trying to take through airport security. One of the
Right.
man's check bags triggered a security alarm Saturday at John F. Kennedy International Airport. The Transportation Security Administration said in a statement. Officers opened the bag and found a DVD player inside. When officers further inspected the DVD player, they found a 9mm handgun wrapped in aluminum foil. Port Authority police arrested the man who is from Elmhurst, New York, and was on his way to Mexico. He faces weapon charges.
And ever since that last post, we've heard nothing from this guy, who is a well-known individual connected to a very well-respected family and entertainment business, as he is an aspiring actor, and he has, since this incident has basically gone underground, or maybe it is this guy mentioned in this article, he's arrested.
Correct.
Another thing I wanted to point out, just to be a little, for the audience to be a little balanced, because there's a lot of different other YouTubers driving the fact that Nipsey had nothing in his name. Now, I'm going to show, I'll just explain one way that Nipsey could be owner of everything, okay, but not have anything in his name for various different reasons. But one of them, let's say I open an LLC, okay, and I name David Gross as my CEO, or yeah, I name him as my CEO. That, and along with other documents, that could grant him authority to sign off on other businesses and create other businesses underneath that initial entity. So on paper, it looks like I don't own anything, but I own. I remember explaining to LA, I was doing some research for a company. Uh, doing trading. So I researched a company that was a shell company that broke into 9 other companies that were shell companies for 27 other different entities, and all belonging to one person or one family. But whenever you did, if you were to do research on these individual companies, you would never know that the family owns those businesses. So that's just I'm not that it still could be what these other YouTubers are saying, where Nipsey didn't have anything in his name and he was getting played. That's true, but we have to prove it. But there's also other ways where, you know, if you think the Rockefellers and the Rothschilds have everything in their name, then you're a fool.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that is a good point. Like you said, it is a lot of driving emphasis on the fact that Nipsey didn't have his business in his name. Now, what if the LAPD had this man's name on all this paperwork and was bringing up the fact that he is a gang member repetitively? Don't you guys think that he would have been had to give up that business? They would have been put a gate around his business if Nipsey's name was on the paperwork and they were sending out these letters of, you know, about gang activity. They would have been shut down that infrastructure.
And
Well,
it takes away also from his intelligence, because if we really just do a background profile of what Nipsey had his hands into, not to mention listen to the interview of Daylight. Even though I know Daylight is the battle rapper, he's off the wall. There's a video out there when Daylight speaks about going to junior high school with Nipsey. Nipsey was a gifted guy. Nipsey was gifted. He was the guy that could fix the computer. He was the guy that could fix the radio. You know, Nipsey was a special individual. So we need, and if you look into what he had his hands into, that's not normal overachiever type stuff. This is like special guys type stuff. Okay.
mhm.
And it's simple to own a business and not have it in your name. It's actually intelligent. If you see what the, you know, I'll say not the 1%ers or the 5%ers, but look at what the people in the 20 to 15% of the financial spectrum. Look at how they put their businesses, and then definitely look at after that, look at the 1%ers, because they have nothing in their almost nothing in their name.
Mhm. That's true.
I mean, what do you think them offshore accounts and those private equity funds and those mutual funds? You see, people, we don't, you know, average everyday people don't know what these means, but these are ways to hide money and hide assets.
Now, these situations don't. I don't want you guys to think that it's just, you know, just random information. These situations that we're bringing up all tie into what happened right before Nipsey Hussle's death, right in between a couple weeks after he passed away. And me and Sisco will be back to discuss some of the current situations. But I wanted to give you guys emphasis on the things that happened right before and right after Nipsey Hussle's death. So thank you so much for tuning in. Please like, share, and comment your thoughts about these scenarios down below. Maybe we can get the conversation started on some of these missing witnesses, and, you know, just keep the information flowing. So thank you guys so much.